Buongiorno. Welcome to this 2023 edition of DURKO's Notebook for the Italian Grand Prix. Whilst it was the most exciting race I've ever watched, still a fair bit I want to talk about and clear up. So pull up a pew, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. You wouldn't fucking read about it. So for the Italian Grand Prix, we've again returned to the Temple of Speed it is referred to, Monza. And it's a great circuit. Now, it's referred to as a Temple of Speed basically because of the high speeds the cars have to turn out, of course, when they're on the circuit racing. And for most of the lap time, the drivers are, of course, planting their right foot onto the loud pedal to make sure the cars go as fast as they can physically push them. The big news for the weekend, of course, was Hamilton and George Russell both re-signed with Merck. So Hamilton's got another 2 years on his contract, and George is there as well. And I think it's a strong pairing for the Merck team if they can get the car to deliver for them. Chico, he's probably still under threat for his contract to see where he can end up at all. And at free practice too, he obviously had a big off at the Parabolica. Thankfully, he didn't do too much damage to his car and he was able to save it. He just got bogged in the kitty litter, but he's really got to start to think, is he going to see a contract for next year? Because there's some other drivers knocking on the door. Potentially, now, it's a wild card that Ricciardo could go, but you never know, they could parachute Liam Lawson into it. He had a great weekend, as we saw. Now, the Williams have again turned out a great result in quali, and for what the circuit is at Monza, they've really got that Merc engine dialed into the Williams tub, and it's delivering for them. So great result by Williams, especially Albon. Now, Drogovic, obviously, he was the mandatory test driver in FP1, and he only got P18, but you got to look at Lance Stroll. He only got P20 in quali. And I again call on Lance or Lawrence Stroll to say, why are you keeping your son in that seat? It's just a waste. I know family values stand for a lot, obviously in the Stroll family. But I think Drogovic is going to be, before this season's out, given at least one race seat to remind Lance that it's not all, rose-tinted glasses when you're driving for your old man. But you can be replaced for one race at least as a reminder. Lawson, obviously, he qualified P12, so whatever team AlphaTauri is going to be called next year, whatever name they can conjure up, is he a good chance of potentially joining Yuki or joining Daniel Ricciardo as a driver there if Yuki gets spared? But I think they'd be mad to get rid of Yuki and hang on to him and Lawson, and Dan Ricciardo can potentially fall back into the retirement league that he was in. Ricciardo, the race, the Sainz, he did well to hold off Verstappen for so many laps at the beginning of the race, because clearly the Ferrari was underpowered, but for its home race they've turned up and obviously turned all the dials up to 11 to deliver so that Sainz could keep in front of Max, and it was great to see. I'll discuss in a minute my thoughts on Verstappen and his dominance. And Norris and Piastri, that had come together, which was just stupid for teammates. And Andreas Stella has come forward and said, fellas, you've got to stop it. Just don't fight with each other, especially going to turn 1, turn 2 at Monza. And of course they did it. Now, Oscar, I'm going to admit, was at fault. Norris was probably a bit keen. Racing incident, no penalty, despite the fact that teammates. I still think it was a bit of a stupid move, and Oscar should have probably given Norris a bit more room than he did. At lap 41, obviously Hamilton was at fault, and he did later apologise after the race to Piastri for colliding with him and breaking his nose. Some people were saying the 5-second penalty wasn't enough. It should have been 10, should have been more. He should have been dropped behind. Whatever, Piastri ended, then got the 5-second penalty. There's all these theories going around, but it is what it is. And at the end of the day, Hamilton, with all his experience, probably just went in too hard to try and gain the advantage over Piastri. It means Piastri's rookie season. Lewis has got 7 titles, really. Lewis would have got him eventually, I'd say. Just driven him down in one of the corners. I want to get on to Max for a second. Now, he's obviously dominant. It's his 10th win. He could potentially go on to 11, 12, 15 wins for the season, or in a row at least. And of course, I've said before, it is his dominance, and we need to accept that. But he's obviously got the car dialed in, tuned perfectly for him and his driving style. And admittedly, he's driving that car flat out to its advantage. Some people say, it's unfair, rules are being changed to suit the Red Bull team. Look, it's all bullshit. They can't do it. It's not going to happen. I totally agree if you believe it is happening that way. But that's the way it is. And at the end of the day, one day Max is going to start to lose and he won't win a race, and he may be not on the podium and may even be out of the points. So we'll just wait for that day, and if it does, there'll be another driver comes along and takes the mantle, and then they start their run of dominance, as I've said. And we just wait and see what it is. I mean, unfortunately, my crystal ball's not working today, so I can't tell you the forecast for who that's going to be, but time will tell. That's all there is to it. They're going to give credit a bit to the Ferrari team. I mean, they've turned up here for the home race and really got the car dialed in. But I think the dickhead of the day has got to go to Leclerc for trying to take Sainz out on just about every corner he could, because he's got to realise he's part of the team. The team is not him. And there was incidents where he was trying to outbrake Sainz, take a position in a corner that wasn't going to suit him, and he was told by the team to calm down, but he seemed to ignore that. So I think, Charles, you've got to remember, mate, they can spear you. A contract can be torn up. And if the old man was alive today, I'm sure he'd be sitting in his office saying, "What are you doing, young man?" So the final thing I want to close on was a post that came up on Autosport just before the race started, and it was a questionnaire that obviously Autosport were asking. Stefano Domenicali's gone public because clearly he wants to take possession of an American passport or become a US citizen, because he's come up with the idea of not having 2 races in Italy, but having continued with the dominance of 3 in the States. So why you wouldn't have Imola and Monza as the 2 Italian races, I don't know. And if you're going to have the shit races, I say, of Miami and Vegas, why not do them year apart? Why do we need 3 American races? If we can have 2, let's have 2 Italian. But why do we need to have Vegas every year and Miami every year? Give us a breather from both of them. I don't want either of them, but if we're going to have them alternate years at least, and keep Cater, because it's one of the best races going and in an amazing circuit. So, Stefano Domenicali, I think you're an idiot, and you're clearly not listening to the market of fans of what we want, because we don't want all this bullshit show and fanfare that we're going to see in Vegas, or this stadium rubbish that we saw in Miami. We want to see proper racing circuits and cars racing on. That's the end of that argument. I know I say it every week, but I'll just keep getting it off my chest until something happens. Anyway, that's it for me. That's enough of me whinging. A bit of a whinge session this time. Anyway, Singapore's up next. Great night race. I've been there. If you haven't been, you've got to go. It's unreal. The atmosphere is great. It is hot, humid, but it is a great venue to walk around, even if it's just a general admission ticket. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.